Dr. Nario of Bio Integrative Health Center. And today we want to talk about what Dr. Nario eats. But first, let me just say Dr. Nario is with Bio Integrative Health Center in Reno, Nevada. And you can check them out online. They do a lot of really cool IV treatments and other types of treatments. So I'm there every week just having fun. So welcome, doctor.
Well, thank you, Steve, for having me again. Yeah, having fun and getting poked with IVs. It's always awesome.
Yeah. Got to get those treatments. So we've been interviewing different trainers and doctors, and I know that you have kind of a unique diet. I think you follow, kind of a modified Mediterranean diet for you. Everyone's different, and you have to find what works for you. So I want to find out exactly how you kind of eat in a week. The title is for the day, but I know that you kind of eat different things a little bit, trying to get certain amounts of protein in and certain things in throughout the week to kind of keep it balanced. So let me ask you first, is that true? I mean, am I describing it right from how I know you, kind of a modified Mediterranean diet? How would you describe your diet?
Well, Steve, that is definitely a good description of it, but I play around with it. Modified Mediterranean, plant-based, and intermittent fasting even getting in there. So that's why when you talk about a steady diet, the best description that I probably can put in there is pescatarian. That's definitely I think the word that I can use more. But again, sometimes you deviate. There's so many things like when you're out on a vacation, on a conference, you just can't be picky about anything specific. So whatever is available, that's the one that you're going to work with.
Okay, so what did you call that diet, or your way of?
Pescatarian diet.
Okay, so what's a typical day of what you might eat if you're trying to be really strict? And well, first tell us what give us an example of what that would be, like breakfast, when do you start eating, and all that stuff. What's your eating window and so on?
All right. Well, the the typical schedule for I guess the day is always I make sure breakfast is always something that I have to do. I always tell patients that this is when you put the gas in the tank in order for you to make it through the whole trip, meaning at the day's end, you're still going to be doing backflips, you're going to be okay. And people, my patients, a lot of them, oh, I'm not a breakfast eater. And I always tell them, hey, you should think twice. And it does make sense. And that simple analogy kind of gets them into that right mindset. And for breakfast, as I mentioned to you, plant-based, a typical breakfast for me would be more on, I wouldn't miss my plant-based shakes. These are pea proteins. All of these plants that has proteins in them are combined in one drink. And that would be the drink for the day. And also for the regular, I get a multi-grain, multi-seed bread. And I put my favorite almond butter on it. And you just put in there like 2 slices. And I always need to top it off with fruits. So my go-to fruits are always my berries, maybe straw, black, crayon, all of those are basically the morning dessert that I have. And of course, after that would be my morning supplements. So that's not part of the diet, but definitely breakfast is one of the highlights of the meals. And then another rule that I apply is the more you get to dinner, the meal should be less and less. Meaning, eat like a king, a pauper, and then a prince. So you can see how small your meals are getting. And during the afternoon, I always make sure that I maybe have a salmon salad or anything fish based. That's why it's pescatarian, because it's seafood based. And sometimes even I just don't eat meat at all in a specific day. So that's why for me it's a luxury to have a specific meat. Maybe dinner, as I always talk about dinner. Yeah, I eat just so little for dinner, just because I don't want to let my digestion be the star of the night. Because every time you go to bed, you have to remember the star of the night is repair, circulation. If you have a lot of food in your tummy, the body will just say, hey, I'm going to focus on digesting this food. Forget about repairing that body because I'm so busy. Now there goes your muscle, there goes sleep, there goes other factors. So for dinner, yes, same, almost lunch and dinner, just the same amount. Even I have to make sure I have greens. If I get a chunk of meat or a chunk of animal, there will be usually fish, shrimp. And there's so many things that you have to consider about that. Like, he's eating a lot of shrimp. What's going on with him? He doesn't know about the heavy metals. I do chelation. That's one thing. That's why I'm pretty, I'm not saying confident, but I have this knowledge in my head that I'm taking away the heavy metals through the fish that I eat. So like, again, as you can see, there's so much of a balance. Now, he just mentioned about intermittent fasting? Where did this come in? Like, he's eating like all these 3 days of 3 meals in a day. The thing is, by default, because of work, I sometimes skip lunch for the reason that we just see a lot of patients. I'm just doing so many things. So that's basically an 8-hour window until dinner. So I usually do an 8-hour intermittent fast in between. So this is going to be sporadic, but I want to do it in succession so that you can kill more defaulty or I guess defective cells and just destroy them and starve them to death. So again, it's all, as you can see, I'm all over the board, but the point there is it's a lifestyle. And I don't want to tell patients about, oh, it's a diet, you have to be on this for 6 months, 3 months. It always has to be a lifestyle that you don't even have to think about the numbers.
So was there a point in your life where you said, you know what, I need to change my diet, I need to pay attention to what's good for me? Was there a point in your life where you said, okay, I need to change what I eat, and this is kind of what I'm going to experiment with, and this is what you came upon? Can you tell us about that? Did that happen?
Yeah, well, Steve, that's basically the humble beginnings of not only my diet and why I actually got into integrative medicine. The reason for that is when I was in Vegas doing primary care, the thing there is I was a carnivore. I don't know if you would believe this. I was 180 pounds and I was into that bodybuilding, the gym life, because my friends were doing it also. And I was just this bulky dude drinking shakes and eating meat in the buffets of Vegas, which were so cheap that you can go there anytime. And it's all about building the muscle. That's what I was telling myself. Eat that meat, eat that steak. The thing was, as I was working, and of course, you know, Vegas, nightlife, friends, there's a lot of stress at work. It was time for my blood work. I had to do a blood check. So the thing was, my colleagues are actually my providers as well. So now they actually told me we have to talk, and now you have to sit on the other side of the chair. All right, so I listened. What they found, high cholesterol, pre-diabetic, my liver enzymes were screaming, and also my kidneys were about to go down. So they told me it's now time to talk about you being on a statin, time for you to be taking metformin, which is diabetic medication, and we have to monitor your blood every 3 months just to see how these medicines are really affecting you. So now that dawned into me that, hold on, now I know how it feels like to be a patient. Why are we checking blood tests if these medicines are safe? And that was mind-boggling to me, because before I was sitting on the other side of the doctor's chair, but now I'm on the patient side. That's when everything turned around. So that's why I called, yeah, I let my colleague, Dr. Cora, know about my situation and asked her, hey, is there a solution for this? And she did say, yes, there is. And that was history. That's when I never looked back at these prescription medicines that I was supposed to be prescribed. And I actually now found out about the diet that I'm in. So I started with yes, I started, as you can hear, being a carnivore, now became a pescatarian, meaning vegetables and fish, no dairy, no eggs, as much as I can. So I can't say I'm totally strict about that, but almost 80%. And then that's where also plant-based came in. So that's why in a week, I probably have like 2, 3 days that I eat fish or some meat, because it's hard. Sometimes you order a salad and you have like chunks of bacon, chunks of meat. It's hard to remove. But again, minimal. That's why when I talk to patients, being realistic about your diet is thinking about minimalism. That, all right, everything has to be in balance. Everything has to be done in moderation. And of course, intermittent fasting, which I discovered while I was working. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize because of my busy schedule, I'm already doing intermittent fasting. So everything just fell into place in order for me to be a healthier version of what I was before.
Okay, so that kind of leads me into this question. It seems like you've got your diet really dialed in for you, which is very unique. How has it changed your health?
Well, that's a good question. Now, so I'm basically 140, 50 pounds now from 180. And I was, here's the weirdest part. So I don't know if other clinicians probably can relate to this. I was seeing a patient back in Vegas and I was snoozing off. He was telling me, hey, you better go home. You're tired. But deep inside, I was just like, I don't know. My metabolism just messed up. I just don't feel good. And that now I don't have that. I have all the bursts of energy that I need throughout the day. And I mean, I mentioned to you about these medications, the metformins, the statins, and they want to get my blood tests. I'm doing my blood test, what, once a year? And so far, so good. I'm not perfect, sure, some slight elevation of blood sugar, but nothing comparable to what I was before when I got the diagnoses. And cholesterol, definitely not a problem anymore. And also, yeah, the blood checks, there's just minor things that I fixed, just a slight dehydration. I see that. But I have to tell everybody, diet is not only the key. Diet is only part of the bigger picture. I exercise, I do meditation, and definitely you have to get everything in balance, family, friends. You have to know what's important. And it's not always just one thing. The key is a multitude of things stitched all up together. And now, yes, I'm feeling the best way that I can be. If I would have followed and practiced conventional medicine, I don't know where I'm going to be picked up. That's what I was eating fast food just because I'm so sure I need to see all these patients. But right now, I don't even remember when I ate my last fast food.
Wow. So it sounds like you're not eating a lot of calories, but what would you say your macros are? Are they like one third, one third, one third, or is your protein lower, or where would you say that is?
So with this distribution of carbs, proteins, and fat, I probably would give you more of the carbs would be in the 60, protein 20, and fat 20. So when I say carbs, carbs is not going to be like your regular sugar-based carbs or simple carbs. I eat a lot of sweet potatoes, yams, brown rice, um, even multi-seeded or grain bread. That's why these are slower forms of sugar that or carbs that I ingest to get me through going throughout the day. And for protein, yes, I'm not only putting protein as the seafood that I eat, but plant-based proteins. People has to understand plant-based proteins are out there. It's not only meat or animals that can give that to you. Peas, beans, lentils, all of these great things, even kale gives you protein. So that's why the shake that I'm taking in, that's definitely packing a punch in terms of the plant-based proteins that I get. And for fat, omegas from seafood, and also a lot of vegetable-based plant sources, such as extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, even MCTs. I take MCTs directly. So those are the healthier ways on how you can distribute your macros. And the thing that I always want to tell everybody, we are not the U.S. population is not deficient in protein. we are deficient in fiber. That's why fiber is the one that we need to pack it up on. Before we lose muscle mass, it takes days, it takes weeks. But if you lose fiber, there's just so much abnormalities in the body that can produce constipation, the non-cleansing of our organs, because that's where everything goes out through your gut. That's why fiber is something that I always tell patients, be concerned about that, not the protein.
Wow. So do you know, is there a target grams of fiber for you in a day? What would you like to get as far as how many grams of fiber?
So grams of fiber is definitely, I mean, well, I have to make sure everybody kind of tolerates this. So this is, for men, it should always be around 30 grams a day. So now we're going to talk about like how many servings of that should it be? That's going to be like a lot of servings. If you think about maybe what, a good 8 to 10 servings of fiber, meaning vegetables. So that's why we have to make sure that we be creative about this, because we just can't eat salad every day. We have to mix it in with our proteins. You mix it up with your shakes. You can even be creative about dishes that you make. And you just don't eat salad. Oh man, he's on a salad diet. No, I'm not on a salad diet. It just has to be all mixed, because you're gonna go crazy about, oh, I'm not gonna do this anymore. This is too much. But yeah, crazy as it sounds, I ideally average around a good 6 to 8 servings a day. 10, sure, I get that sometimes, but realistically speaking, around that range.
Flaxseed and stuff like that is a good fiber source you can throw in your shake.
Mhm. Right.
And that'll
And
pump it up
yeah,
nice.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, well, very fascinating. Talking to you about what you eat. You know, people see a lot of the interviews that we do and all the treatments and the IV treatments and all that stuff that you do, but sometimes it's easy to forget that your doctor is a person and has individual health needs and has to pay attention to this stuff, or should pay attention to this stuff, just like I do and all the people that I talk to. So thank you, Dr. Nario. Dr. Nario Bio Integrative Health Center. I encourage you to go check them out online. They're in Reno, Nevada, and amazing what they can do there. So thanks for being with us, Doctor.
Thanks, Steve, for having me. As we all know, that knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with edge in longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.